Welcome back to the Lapdown Podcast. Sorry we were absent last week. We were in different continents and having difficulties with regards to internets and computers and microphones and laptops and webcams and all kinds of other important things that two highly investigative journalists in the Formula One space require in order to put together the best Formula One podcast you've never watched. You're new here, subscribe, like this, subscribe it, follow it, subscribe it, like it, comment it, share it, subscribe it, like it, comment it, share it, subscribe it, and do all of that good shit. My name's Dan, I'm joined by Alex, and we're talking about Formula One cars going around in circles quickly. All right?
Yes, I am. I'm well. We're here. We've made it happen. We've got a little bit of Vegas-y stuff to look back on, but we're kind of all eyes forward. And I will say, it's our first fully international podcast where I'm in Singapore, you're in Australia. So if we're not beating the British bias allegations now, we never are. We have never been less British. I've got this accent. Your last name's got J's and Z's and stuff in it. Like,
True.
There can't be British bias here when we're based so oceanically.
True. Good point. So does McLaren start to favour Lando Norris now then and put team orders in place for the rest of the Grand Prix season? No, I'm joking. Let's talk about Vegas first, and then we'll get on to that kind of interesting point. You quite enjoyed the Las Vegas qualifying, didn't you, sir?
Yes, that is some of F1 at its best. And we've definitely talked about it on the pod before, of the odd, completely random session because of outside factors is excellent. And that quali was one of those where, God, you've got to respect the skill on show. And I think it was Coulthard maybe or Palmer on the F1 TV commentary I was watching. They said 3 or 4 times, like, I'm just so impressed with the skill of these drivers that they've not stuck it in a wall or someone's had a massive incident. Like, yeah, okay, Ollie Behrman took his hands off the wheel and went, I don't know what's going on, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, as he kind of just nudged the wall with his nose. But the fact that we got a solid hour of running with the wet tyre, by the way, we actually used the wet tyre, and they all kept it largely facing forwards apart from everyone missing turn 14, was, one of those, like, glued to the timing tower sessions as well. And you just see, like, Lance Stroll go top by 7 tenths and stuff. What the fuck is going on?
It's nice, isn't it? I know a lot of people some people get carried away, at least. We're going, oh, why don't we just have sprinklers around the track and make things wet for the sake of making them wet? But then I don't think these moments would feel as special as what they do when they occur kind of semi-naturally with whatever kind of chemtrails and cloud seeding that might be going over the Vegas Strip. Yeah, it's superb, and they are incredibly skillful, and sometimes it needs one of those little reminders for everybody to turn around and go, oh yeah, quite skillful. Because I'm pretty sure we had that conversation, or at least did with somebody else anyway. I can't remember who, but when you think about the number of people that are walking this planet who have actually driven a Formula One car that could with any certainty kind of say in this modern era what they are like to drive and how hard they are, you're talking about tens and 20s of peoples. And yet we kind of quite quick to criticize somebody that can't take a corner at 150 miles an hour because there was a grasshopper on the inside of the corner and it just caused the complete kind of equilibrium of the car to get unsettled and disappear off in the bushes. So yeah, good for them, good fun. The race was something, and there was some overtakings, a crazy start. Lewis Hamilton's helmet looked amazing. And then all of the drama happens after the checkered flag had dropped, after Terry Crews had tried to give his biggest main character energy that he possibly could, driving his Lego Cadillac down the straight with his Lego sunglasses on, whilst 3 multi-millionaire Formula One children looked at him like, who the fuck is this guy? And then the McLaren got disqualified. AB. Done, toast, wiped from the list, nil point for McLaren in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, we've had plenty of tinfoil business in our social comments and stuff before. Me and you don't particularly subscribe to tinfoil-y type business. We're more of a glad wrap style podcast. But if you ever wanted to put on a bit of new headwear made of a material that perhaps wasn't fabric or anything like that, now is the time to be putting on your tinfoil. Because, I mean, if you needed one thing that kept the championship spicy, it's a tinfoil-based double disc Q. We don't subscribe to a lot of suspicion. But if we were going to be a tinfoil-based podcast, if there's one thing the championship battle needed to keep it in any way interesting going into Qatar, bearing in mind that I believe had Lando have kept his P2, he was quite likely to have won the championship this weekend with basically any finish. Double DSQ, that keeps us interesting for another couple of weeks, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It does. Sport doesn't need that kind of rubbish, though, does it? Like, it just doesn't. I know people have, and we have been quite cynical and skeptical of some of these decisions in the past, and essentially we're talking about a plank of wood on the bottom of the car that's been used and sanded down by an extra couple of millimeters, which has kind of caused them to break whatever laws or legalities that they have, and they've been disqualified, both of them, from the Grand Prix. McLaren have both claimed damage, haven't they? They've not actually claimed the fact that there was any wrongdoing or any kind of advantage being gained. We obviously spoke last week about the heating up and expanding and despanding like heat blocks in the car as well. Were they one of the cars that and teams that were benefiting from that? Who knows? Don't know. If they were, which they could have been, has that then had an impact with how they've set the car up? I certainly saw contact with Oscar during the course of the Grand Prix. I don't really recall Lando doing anything particularly outlandish with regards to some damage. He did go off the circuit a couple of times. Whether that might have caused something, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely kept it interesting. There's 58 points left to play for if you were to win the Sprinty McSprint face and the two feature races, and the lead is 24 points now between first and joint third now between Max and Oscar Piastri. So essentially one Grand Prix victory between the top three, which is exciting, and it will certainly allow Formula One media and Liberty Media to put a three-way poster on the top of it for the Abu Dhabi final shootout, won't it?
Yeah, but we are in the same situation still, and it is slightly more exciting, but we are still in essentially the same situation we were before, that we need realistically, we need another Lando DNF if this is going to become something. Or a Lando outside of points, might as well be a DNF. We need another Lando no points weekend. Are we getting it? I mean, no one was predicting a DSQ, so it's entirely possible. It's been entirely possible the whole time. The numbers and the probabilities suggest not. One thing that is for certain, I think, if there is an opportunity, Max, the way he's driving at the minute and the way that car has rebounded, will probably be able to capitalize on it. I would say if I'm Lando, I am more concerned with this weekend's race result than Abu Dhabi's, because I do not trust Lando Norris to bring it home in Abu Dhabi. If he goes into that last race needing good points to make sure of it, or has to win or anything like that, I don't feel good about it. Because I think if there's one driver that does really well under those conditions, it's probably the scary one with number 1 on the front, who wants number 69 next year. I don't see the number 4 handling the pressure as well, which is not at all a character assassination or anything like that on Lando Norris. I just think if we look at the raw data in history, one of those two drivers handles knife edge moments slightly better.
Yeah, I notice you've not mentioned Oscar Piastri.
No, he's done
in that conversation. You've completely checked him out.
Gonski.
Done.
When your own bird partner is changing their offer because you can't land it on the podium anymore, you're done. No, I think the car has to have gone away from Oscar slightly. And this is not they're not setting the car up for Lando. This is not Zach Brown sabotaging Oscar's car or anything like that. It is just, I think, relatively clear that car has drifted in its characteristics and its setup and its dynamics away from Oscar Piastri's driving style. Yeah. And at the start of the year, that needle was pointing more towards him, which is why he was in those race results. It was Oscar in front and Lando behind. And now, obviously, as they developed that car, and we knew for a long time that Oscar didn't want the new suspension, I think it was, or there was a piece that was an upgrade. Lando really liked it. Oscar was like, not for me, that one, lads. And I think it's just a little snowball of those, coupled with some pressure and confidence and situation and a little bit of bad luck and all the rest of it. And I think it spirals. So I don't think it's Oscar's year. Okay. I don't think this is going to be, unless McLaren absolutely shit the bed on regs for the next gen. I can't imagine this is Oscar's one and only attempt at a world championship. I think when he had the car underneath him that felt right for him,
Yeah.
He showed very much that he has all the skill and ability to cash it in. But no, it's a 2-horse race in anything other than name for me. Are you giving Oscar slightly more credit than that?
No. No. He will require like poor races from both Lando and Max, I think, to get him significantly back into the mix, won't he?
Yeah.
And with all of that in mind, and we've spoken a little bit about kind of team orders and preferential drivers and number one drivers, and McLaren and us up to now have been kind of very much a case of, yeah, fine, do what you want to do. If that's the way you want to go, live by the sword, die by the sword. If you want to be on that hill and you want to flop it, fine, but stick with it. 2 races to go, 58 points, 24-point lead. Constructors' Championship done, no competition there at all. Is it time now for Mr. Zak Brown to take Oscar Piastri into the head office, arm around the shoulder, and just go, we need you now. We need this to work, because it's not a case that we don't think it will, but we might as well do everything we possibly can to stack the cards in our favor. And if that means that there's a rogue pit stop in Qatar so that Oscar ends up on fresh tires in front of Max, or whatever that might be, and they can kind of just slow things down, a bit like a Perez at Abu Dhabi for Max for Hamilton. Have we got to that stage just to get the job done, get over the line, and then talk about 2026 or 7, whichever the year is next?
No, because he's too close still. Because the problem is, in order for Max to do anything, Lando needs a no points weekend, or a 1 pointer, or he needs a big swinger. He needs a no points weekend. If he has a no points weekend, Oscar Piastri is as far forward now and as close as Max is. Assuming those two finish 1 and 2 on the road in some capacity. So he's just too close still. Yes, potentially in race, if Oscar qualified out of position, if Oscar had a penalty, if there was a situation where Oscar is already into those low points paying places, sure, okay, we can make an in-race call of, here's what we want to do. But I don't think you can be pre-planning that, because he is still inside a race win, and he's inside a race win, literally level with the bloke that they are concerned about defending from. So if I'm Oscar, I'm going, don't you dare, because the only scenarios that bring Max into it bring me back into it as well. So until I'm not in it, Abu Dhabi, different story. Abu Dhabi, or if it's outside a race win, different story. At that point, absolutely, we are Australian Minister of Defence type business. But not in Qatar, I don't think. And I also think which we'll move on to in a second, there's too much jeopardy and risk and strategic jeopardy potentially in Qatar now, with track changes and format changes, and just Qatar being Qatar, that it's a track that should benefit McLaren, but also it's a track that can throw up some curveballs potentially.
Yeah. So what are these changes that we've got to look forward to this weekend in the penultimate Grand Prix of the calendar, when the World Championship is wildly alive? What have the boffins at F1 HQ decided to tinker with this weekend for us? Because the sport's boring, right? Who wants to see 200-mile-an-hour like spaceships racing around with like children behind the wheel? What have they tinkered with to add us more enjoyment and excitement? To
be fair, one of them really good. We've got more gravel. And if there's a podcast that has ever asked for more gravel, it's this podcast. And it's somewhere like Qatar as well, where they're basically in the middle of a desert car park, and there is miles and miles and acres and UK new housing estate sized runoff areas of concrete. It's quite nice.
They had a lot of gravel at the start, didn't they, at Qatar? The first time they went there during that COVID year, they had gravel on the exit of every corner, and because the cars are just flying, I think it's one of those circuits you don't need to brake. Like, just everywhere was just plumes of gravel and dust, and all the shit just getting sprayed up all over the place. And I'm pretty sure they went away from it for that reason. So it's interesting that they've decided to bring it back.
Well, I think, we've got strips coming in on 3 or 4 corners to try and sort of stop them being quite so aggressive with it. And we've said so many times, good. If there's one way you want to stop a driver cutting a corner, put gravel there and watch how quickly they managed to make the apex on that corner now, and they were telling you that it was completely impossible before. So yeah, I think it's good. Less good, perhaps, we've got a mandatory 2 stops, which...
Why?
Yeah, that's about me on it as well, is why.
What is the have they given any reasoning?
Oh, tyre concerns. We're at 25 laps maximum. Well, so we're not mandatory 2-stop in theory. We are at a maximum run time on a single tyre of 25 laps, which, bearing in mind it's a 57-lap race, is a mandatory 2-stop race. And we're up from, I think it was 18 laps the last time, which I think was 23, that we had tyre restrictions. And then last year they were just pissed at home on a 1-stopper. So I don't know what's changed in the compounds as to why they're now suddenly concerned about it again, but we are back to forced fun, 2-stop. Ayo Komatsu came out and said it would be a disaster for strategy if they did it, and then like 3 days later they're like, we're doing it.
Yeah, we're doing it. Don't worry, guys. Yeah. Well, because again, another one of these kind of memories, there were a lot of punctures, weren't there, kicking around Qatar in the previous years. Lots of sparks on the cameras, which looked awesome, but probably not the greatest for those that are affected by it. Yeah, fantastically convenient, isn't it, that they've increased from 18 to 25 laps when they've got a 19-lap sprint race involved this weekend. All of a sudden, it's just like, yeah, no, we can do a couple of extra laps. Don't worry about it, because I tell you what, a pit stop in a sprint race, if we're talking about fucking around and finding out it, this is the kind of bollocks that I want to go and see Formula One put together. Just a mandatory pit stop in a sprint race just for the shits and giggles. Do you pit on lap 1? Genuinely, do you put on lap 1, get yourself out of traffic, clean lap, bang, 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 and then all of a sudden you're like, ta-da, I'm in the lead? Or do you go penultimate lap because you've stayed out, and then you... See, this is the kind of stuff that you need to be playing around with Formula One, not just fannying around with 25 lap tyre stints. Give me what I want.
Yeah. Well, genuinely, I mean, what we're doing here is we're live planning for future off-season podcasts, but I don't hate it as an idea. And not even a multi-compound sprint. I don't mind the idea of you must stop at some point in the sprint. You can go soft if you want to go soft, but you have to come in at some point. I think that could work. We'll do a pod at some point in the off-season while we try and piece together 2 months of no racing content that will look at the rule changes that we've made to improve. But I don't mind that. That as a... Why not? Just pit stops at Jeopardy. Jeopardy's fun. We like Jeopardy. Yeah. But no, they softened the curbs off, didn't they? The first year, I think the reason why we had quite the problems we did is I think it was really fucking hot. And then the curbs are also basically cheese graters. And the combination between overheating tyres and cheese grater curbs, funnily enough, meant they kept exploding. So they sort of sanded down all the curbs and sort of firmed up the tyres a little bit. But yeah, I'm not sure Qatar needed saving. I don't remember that Qatar has necessarily been a stinker before. Obviously, we've had ridiculous high drama and Logan Sargent nearly killing himself. But I don't... It's not like it's a Monaco where we've had loads of races that were really dull. It's also only existed for a couple of years. We don't really know yet. We haven't sort of had a normal Grand Prix yet.
Just a thought before we move on and start to speak about Aston Martin, because apparently they still race Formula One cars and we don't speak about them very often. The boffins in these Formula One teams that kind of put strategies together and monitor things, I don't know, like fuel consumption and aerodynamics and drags, tyre wear. Surely it's down to them to figure it out, isn't it? Like you don't want people just pushing the envelope to the point that all 4 tyres on the car explode and we end up with like 21 out of 20 cars crashing into the bushes during the course of the Grand Prix. But is it not on the teams to figure out that these tyres have got a 25 lap allegedly kind of shelf life to them? And if they decide to push it to 27 and they get a puncture, then it's on you, lads. But if you play it in safe and you go on 23 because there's a chance of a puncture on 25, that's okay.
No, I agree. They've got so much data to work with, and so much of F1 is about building your car and your setup and your strategy and when are we going to make our decisions. It's not like it's a street circuit where there's massive jeopardy in you having a high-speed puncture. I'm not saying we ever want to see a car crashing at any point. You know, we've said that before. The entertainment in the sport is not in the big fiery crashes. But very rarely are complete blowout punctures a complete surprise to the team. I think they have enough data in all of their sensors that they can go, that tyre is unhappy, we need to take that tyre off. So I agree. Like, if you are a Williams or a Haas and you're running in P8 and you see two cars peeling in front of you and you think, if we can eke this out for another, couple of laps, it makes a big difference. It's a bit 50-50. I don't know if that tyre is going to hang on. That front left looks really angry. That's why you've got a NASA fucking launch room full of strategists and, rubber compound aerodynamicists, physicians, and all the rest of it to make that call. So I agreed with it to an extent I'm pretty sure it was 23 when they last did it, because at that point they were going, we fucked it. We've got the wrong tyres, or the track is not suitable. You're going to die if you dare run this tyre 19 laps. But now we're in fuck around and find out territory. Surely, let them fuck around and find out if they want to. McLaren aren't going to go risky with it. Red Bull might go risky with it, but McLaren are just going to take the absolute Route 1 safest option. Yep. And if you want Max to try and drive those tyres on the edge, and he's good enough to, I can let him. That's what I've got to say.
Agreed. Completely agree. Aston Martin. Apparently they're still involved in Formula One. But who knew? They've not been spoken about on this podcast, I don't think, since the news that Adrian Newey moved over. But we've got more Adrian Newey news in the fact that he is now going to be full team principal for Aston Martin Aramco Formula One team. And it's kind of just squashed that rumor of Christian Horner coming back into the sport again, because they've just gone for the big dog. So I don't really know what he's like as a team principal. I'm sure he's probably very good, and I dare say most of his role is going to be spent behind a desk with a protractor and some kind of charcoal crayons or whatever, and he's going to be drawing stuff. But any immediate thoughts about that? I've got very little, to be quite frank with you. I don't really know.
I think I've seen plenty of chatter from the brilliant minds that are Reddit and social media comments and the like. That are in some way implying that why have Aston Martin done this, without considering perhaps that Adrian Newey makes the calls. He's actually Adrian Newey. If he doesn't want to be team principal, he's not going to be team principal. This is not an up-and-comer. This is not even a James Vowles level, where when we all agree James Vowles coming across made sense and it was sort of a succession plan. You'll probably end up at Mercedes and whatever. But Adrian Newey is not going to be told what to do. He is entirely calling his own shots. Okay, they might have gone to him and gone, hey, Adrian, we're not loving Andy's work. We're going to have a vacant TPC. Thoughts?
Yeah.
And it's up to him to turn around and go, oh, yeah, go on then. Or, quite happy with my crayons, lads. Going to be honest with you, quite happy with my crayons. I'm a big fan. So, any chatter of why have they done this, just let him do car-y things, he obviously wants to do it, or he wouldn't do it. And I can see it becoming a little bit like a McLaren situation, where I could see potentially someone else in the team being a little bit more of the public face. And because we do hear from Andrea Stella, not that much compared to a lot of other TPs, because you've got Zach Brown there as that overlord role who does a lot of the public facing stuff. And Andrea can kind of actually function as a team principal and not a media personality. And I wonder if we'll see something similar with Aston Martin, that they'll either, this is where you bring Horner and bring him in just as your PR person. Just bring him in just to go and do your interviews and stuff. Call him like the camera team principal or something. But yeah, I could see a situation where someone else takes that sort of public facing step forward. He still builds the car. He still actually runs the team, but he does it a little bit more quietly.
Yeah. I tell you what, I am getting quite excited about these 2026 cars now, because this is one of the teams that, again, we don't speak about really on this podcast because they just pass us and everybody else by. But by all accounts, with everything that we know, we're kind of a big part of us, I would imagine, is expecting Aston Martin to be towards the sharper end of Formula One next year, and that's going to be good. That's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun to talk about somebody and something different. So hopefully it works. I don't think it'll work with Christian Horner, but hopefully it works with whatever they need to do. I don't really think we've got much else left on the list, mate. Obviously, we kind of fudged around, didn't we, with a post-Vegas / pre-Qatar type setup. That's a banjo. Yeah, what's your... Okay, let's round this out before we do our own little World Drivers' Championship thing that we've got going on.
We have our email as well. We've got some team radio to get to as well.
Of course. Yeah, go on. Fire away on that. I was just going to ask you who you think is going to win the World Championship.
Fine. We'll roll on to that afterwards because, yes, we have done some team radio, which we were going to discuss on the podcast earlier in the week and didn't get a chance to. It's from Dan. It's from Dan number 2. We've got our Dan, and now we've got strategy Dan. It's a wonderful email. I shan't read all of the email. I shall skip to Dan's questions. But Dan, thank you very much for your email. It is a lovely email. But Dan has 2 questions, and we'll start with question 1, which I think we've covered a little bit of before. So I think I know what you'll say on this. But he says, first of all, has this season descended into a qualifying and turn 1 championship? If a driver can perform on Saturday or go elbows out and force their way through at turn 1, the clean air gives these cars such a huge advantage, it almost seems futile for the rest of the pack to challenge for the win, or at least that seems so to me. Greatly appreciate your thoughts on this. It's
hard to disagree, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is if you are Verstappen, Norris, Piastri. I don't think it works for Russell or Antonelli, for example, or one of the Ferraris. I think if they quali front row, elbows out, get into the lead, I still think probably come the first round or only round of pit stops, they've not disappeared into the distance. But I think one of the 2 papaya cars or Max, yes, I think there's a lot of Saturday pressure, but more so, you've got to get yourself front row Saturday, and then you've got to be leading, by the end of the first sector on Sunday, is what I would say.
Yeah, and ultimately they're the 3 cars that have been up towards the sharp end of it all year, haven't they? We can talk about an Antonelli and a Russell, and the success that they've had, respectfully to themselves and Ferrari, it's been a case of picking pieces up, hasn't it? For when things haven't quite worked out for the other team. It's never... I'm sure there has been, but I can't think of what one did George win? That was a good drive, to be fair. But it's failing to come back to me at the minute. But it was a good drive. Everybody else has felt like it's just been a bit of, oh, okay, there's been a penalty, or they've tripped over one another, or there's been a disqualification. Oh, cool, I'm third now. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So yeah, I suspect, much like the broadcast that we've had in the previous years, where we've had the cliche of, oh yeah, well the real Grand Prix is for second place. This is how this has felt for a lot of 2025. So, and probably after we get through the opening couple of rounds of 2026, all of the grid would have landed where they land after they've been shuck out, and we'll probably come up with some other form of thing to describe the 2026 World Championship, because deep down we know that we're not going to have a possible 22 different Formula One race winners each weekend.
Yeah, and I think we have short memories in F1 and sport, but if we go back to previous regs and how much worse dirty air was there, and the fact that you had maybe a 3-lap window to make your move, get it done, and then disappear again, because you couldn't consistently follow closely. The cars can follow each other now. They don't always have necessarily the oomph to overtake, but we are seeing 5, 6, 7, 8 laps of cars, even in places like Qatar, through the S's and whatever, where they're sticking to the back of cars, which is really good. But yeah, I think it has. I think the regulations and the sort of rulings on fucking bullshit with axles and front mirrors and all that stuff has not helped with that as well. But yeah, I think it is, but it's sort of no one's fault that it is, I think, is where I would settle on it. And then question 2, how can we protect the future of sweet young Isack Hadjar so that he doesn't make the move to the cursed second Red Bull seat?
I'd probably let you handle this one because you're a big fan of and the kind of our direct correspondent with regards to the behaviours of that cunt fossil that works over at Red Bull. So I suspect that you're probably the better qualified person to answer this one.
Yeah. You gotta go. You've got to go, I think. Ultimately, I don't think he gets any choice. I think very much in that Red Bull family, you'll sit in the fucking car we tell you to sit in. But the Red Bull is not an inherently bad car. It's just not easy to wrangle. And okay, you potentially... Early Sergio Perez got on top of it, and I would say that we're going quite a ways back now, but, you know, Danny Rick was able to handle that Red Bull, and then it has only gotten more extreme in terms of how they set that car up from there. But it can be tamed, and Isack Hadjar looks brilliant. And you would have to say, on the data we have available, out of a Tsunoda, an Ailing Perez, a Lawson, he probably is the most naturally raw talented of that bunch. He's done some wonderful things really consistently in that racing bull that, okay, Lawson's had the odd moment, but it's no longer a surprise when Hadjar's in P7 on the road, you know, actual net P7. So, yeah, I think new regs, new car, it's not going to be as extreme you wouldn't have thought from year one in how it's set up. You would like to see it. You would like to think it's probably going to be slightly more neutral until they really get to grips with that. And by that point, he might have his feet under him. So from what I've seen and read, I have no inside lines of the paddock whatsoever. I'm going through proper investigative journalism. I think it's pretty much a done deal. He is going to that team. I don't think it will be the same curse, personally, that it has been for others. What do you reckon?
I don't necessarily think it's the curse. I think it's the yardstick. I think it's what we measure him by. We don't know, but I'd be prepared to suggest that Red Bull will be towards the front end of 2026 with these new regs. I don't see them getting it so horrendously wrong that they're going to be running around in 15th and 16th. Possible, but unlikely.
Yeah.
It's one of those, we've seen with Lando and Oscar this year, they've been given a good car. And if one of them hasn't won, the other one has. And if the other one hasn't won, they finish second or they finish third. If Max is in and around that top four with Isack Hadjar as a teammate, then Isack Hadjar will be measured on being in that top four with Max Verstappen. And then therefore 7th place or 8th place for Isack Hadjar no longer becomes impressive, but becomes your 4 places below where you should be. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the issue. And I think that's the thing that's been stuck with Yuki, and it's been stuck with Liam, and it's been stuck with whoever else has gone in that sister seat and to try to go alongside him, is that to their own kind of ability and skill set, oh, cool, I finished 7th today. Good points. Max has won the Grand Prix by 55 seconds, and I finished a lap down. That's the issue, and that's the yardstick that whoever sits in that number 2 seat will be measured by. And no longer does it become, oh, that's impressive and cute because he's done it in a slow car. It's well, that's shit because he didn't do it in a fast car. So look, it's going to be a tough job. It's going to be tough for whoever goes in there and sits in it. He'll definitely be. He's got to be, isn't he? Like, Yuki's not keeping the seat, and Liam Lawson's not going back in it, and Hadjar's going to be the guy. So good luck to him. Hopefully it works, because I like him. I like him as a person. I think he carries himself well. But history would suggest it's going to be really bloody difficult for him. Right. Do you want a wheel spin?
Let's spin some wheels. It's getting a little bit DNF-y for me now. A little bit like a little bit like what it is for Max if he's going to try and pull this off. It's getting a little bit that way for me as well, because how many points am I behind?
You are currently 30 points behind. So 243 plays 213. I had a fantastic benefit of Kimi Antonelli being promoted up to the podium in Vegas to pick up the 15 points that he did, and then Oliver Behrman snuck in there to sneak a single point at the end of the Grand Prix as well. So, yeah, we're doing okay. You have got the first driver off the wheel this week. No, sorry, I have. I've got the first driver off the wheel this week. You've got it for Abu Dhabi. Sprinty McSprintface. Spin that
sprinter,
wheel.
isn't it? I keep forgetting it's a sprinter.
Where are we going?
We've got no faces on the wheel this week. It's a temporary wheel. It's a Nico Hülkenberg-based wheel.
Do you know, I'm not expecting anything, but in one of these Grand Prix that is all a bit kind of topsy-turvy and upside down and stuff, he might not be a terrible shout.
He is actually, and I know we're not at the stage of bringing new topics onto this episode of the podcast. He's been a really good little performer this year, which is a strange thing to say for a bloke that's about 68 years old. But he is actually, in a pretty underwhelmingly midfield car, has done himself a decent service, and I think reminded everyone that he's actually a decent driver that's just never quite had the fair crack at a team.
Correct.
Speaking of, no, we've gone past Isack. I thought with all the chat we've just had about Isack Hadjar, we've gone beyond him. Alex Albon, I feel like we've not had a huge amount of Alex Albons racing for either of us this year. He doesn't feel like a name that's come up.
He last appeared for you in Azerbaijan.
Yeah, it feels like a little while back now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm not unhappy with an Alex Alb.
Similar, really.
Yeah, quiet performer, might do something decent. Has had no luck in recent races, it feels like.
No.
So he could do with a good weekend.
Now I could do with Orlando. Let's just get.
How do you feel about a Jorge?
That would be beautiful. Please.
Just. I think you had about a pixel to spare before you were going to go into non-Jorge territory.
I'll tell you what.
George Russ, good biz.
Yeah, I mean, because it feels like really and truly I'd need a fourth place just to get this wrapped.
Yes. Yeah, just a tidy bag of points is all you need here. I need a podium boy here. I can't not have a podium boy. No, it's going to go past him, isn't it? It's going to go past him. It's going to go past him. It's not going to go past him. It has gone past him.
It has. Pierre Gasly.
You don't need that. I had just rolled over Piastri and Verstappen to land on the, I'm sure, lovely person, but absolute waste of space drivers championship driver, Pierre Gasly.
Gasly.
That hurts.
You never know. You never know. But it is starting to feel like this could be done and dusted at the end of the Qatar Grand Prix weekend. Never say never.
No, I'm saying never. But I'm saying never. I'm saying never in as many fonts as you can come up with.
Second we finish this, I'm going to go on Amazon trying to order myself a little trophy.
Little trophy business. Right, I think that rolls us into the Qatar Grand Prix in Losail. If you would like to send your thoughts in the same way that Dan number 2 did, lapdownpod@gmail.com, you can do that, send thoughts or questions or theories or anything like that. You can send them in there. Lapdownpod on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. You can go and follow us there. Like Dan said at the top, share this with someone and subscribe and hit like and all the rest of it, because that little click makes a surprising difference with feeding the algorithm overlords and all the rest of it. So make sure you do that. Dan is about to change time zones again, but Dan, where can they see you doing various non-lap down pod things?
Yeah, well, by the time I get back on Saturday night, you can find me at Dan Jads on the internet, or Dan Jads Cricket Club on YouTube. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but I'm assuming on Qatar Airways I might even be able to watch some Formula One motor racing on my flight between Perth and Doha, but I don't actually know what the time zones will work. We'll find out. We'll find out, and I'll report back whether it's been possible. How about yourself, sir? What if anybody's interested, where can they find you?
You can't at the minute, basically, for the next couple of months, because I shan't be streaming. You can go, if you want to read some tech reviews, mediaberry.co.uk, you can go and do that. But in the meantime, just focus on lapdown pod-based stuff and send us stuff on here. So thanks for sticking with us. Apologies for a slight delay in this. It's fun trying to work out internet stuff and time zones and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But we're ready for a Grand Prix weekend, and we will be back next week, and we'll see you all later. Toodle pip.
That's it.